What's up, everybody? What's up? This is Mr. Straight Facts Show. So today in the news, what's news? Elon Musk. If it's here with me yesterday, you would have known that Elon Musk said, and I don't have the exact quote, but he said that, we're going to break some things, but we're going to try and fix them. And he said, we don't want Ebola in the country. So we kind of broke that, but we fixed it and it went off without a hitch. We put it back together. Well, it turns out they did not. These people never, ever, ever tell the truth. I mean, we're big boys and girls. We can take it. Tell us the truth so that we can make the right decisions on what we want to do moving forward. But instead, they never want to take responsibility for their actions. So they tell you lies so that you don't treat them like the idiots they are. Lie after lie after lie. They messed up with the nuclear stuff, had to fire people, supposedly couldn't hire them back. I spoke to someone today in the military, and this person retired from the military told me that's not possible. It could be a mistake on their part, like they may have deleted something they shouldn't have deleted, but in the military, you are asked every year, like an anniversary, to put in, or even the government, to put in your information, whether you're a civilian in the government or if you're in the military. Every anniversary, every year, you are asked to give all the dates, addresses, and everything of where you are to make sure if anything happens that your stuff is taken care of, or if you're receiving certain things and something happens to you, that they know where to send it or whatever. If you let go, they know where to send stuff. That is always in the government and the military. That's like clockwork. And for them not to be able to find these people, something's up with that. Something's up with that. That's a lie within itself. But Elon Musk said that the Ebola situation was fixed. We know nobody wants to have Ebola. We gotta save each other for that. And it's like, you would think you would know that before you did it. Right? And they put, supposedly, she's been there the entire time, Amy Gleason. And the thing is, nobody knew. Nobody in the organization knew. They were asked, did they know this woman? They had never seen her. And she was on vacation somewhere. How you get a job supposedly for America in the government and you're the main person, they've only been in office for a month and you on vacation already? I don't believe this woman knew that she was the head of it until they told her basically to come back and be the head of it. She may have interviewed for it. I don't think she knew she was the top of it. Now, again, that's not the facts. It was just weird how she had no clue when, or at least she pretended like she had no clue when she was asked by a reporter prior to this that she didn't know anything about it, basically. No comment. So how are you, the government, talking about there's a deep state, which is a secretive organization, basically? How do you have a secret organization inside a government and not be called a deep state? What they're doing is a deep state. Not being transparent about who runs it. If that's the case, how do you know if they have a good strategy or not? It makes no sense. It's weird. It's weird. And we're going to go into this deep state thing because, not until, I remember doing content when Donald Trump was running for president about this Russ Vogt guy, Vought. And how he was like the guy who was 100% behind Project 2025. We did all kind of stories about this person. I covered their videos. I think I even did, jokes about some of the stupid things they were saying in the Trump Whisperer series I had, translating stupid. And this guy is I would say just evil. And if you listen to some of the stuff, we're going to have a video later, of the almost the entire video that we get to see from beginning to end, his interview prior to being the head of this department, you would have been creeped out. Well, I don't know about MAGA, but anybody with a brain would have been creeped out. But Elon Musk, as we get into this, had this Ebola mistake, lie, I call it, and said that's what he did. Now, we're going to go over this and read it a little bit because there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Craig Spencer, and we'll go over his expertise and so forth and what he knows and what's in general how things go down. This is what he said, assessing what Musk said. He said that he basically believes that it's partially right, right? But what he got was some facts wrong. And this is what they say. U.S. support has not been fully restored. So this is one thing I know about business is that when you cut something, especially if you are sending something somewhere via some kind of wire or, whatever service, when you turn it back on, it takes a while for that service to be turned back on. It's not like a spigot with water. You turn it off and you just turn it right back on. There are mechanisms in place that have to be verified for you to start that back up. He made it seem like it was we just turn it off and turn it on. In a government, there's so much bureaucracy. There's no way you can turn something off and turn it right back on. It's just not that simple. He knows that, and he should have mentioned that. But this person says, I disagree fully. Completely, wholly, that they recognize the mistake and put it back. This is Dr. Craig Spencer, an emergency physician and professor at Brown University School of Public Health, who has worked on Ebola for more than a decade and responded to Ebola outbreaks in Africa. He says he's in regular contact with officials from U.S. Centers of Disease and Control, CDC, and Prevention, who work on Ebola, and as well as physicians on the ground in Uganda, where an outbreak was declared on January 30th with 9 confirmed cases and 1 death of a nurse so far. As of early February, U.S. was not providing funding to support testing and port screenings in Uganda because of Trump's freeze on almost all U.S. foreign assistance. Acknowledging the absence of U.S. support on February 2nd, Dr. Mike Ryan said in an interview with NPR that the World Health Organization will step up to provide resources for those functions. Now, these organizations, come on, man, what's going on? These organizations, sorry about that, that are supporting our mistakes. These organizations are supporting our mistakes. And we jumped out of who? That's the World Health Organization. So if we're not supporting it, that means other countries are. See, most people don't understand is that America's safety is tied to the things we do to people. Meaning like the good things. We do, I'm pretty sure also the bad things. But the thing is that in order for America to be like this beacon that everybody wants to go to, it's because America literally does so much for people that they have this perception that America is the great place on earth. Because when they need food or they need clothing or they've got diseases and they're dying, America's sending aid. And we're sending the most aid. So therefore, these countries may not like us for wartime stuff, but love us for the humanitarian side, which keeps us safe because they care about us in ways that keep us safe. Just like Israel is an extension of America over there, overseas. If America just stopped funding Israel, our enemies would do so. And our enemies would be more safe over there than we would be. This is all like this big game of chess. We always playing these games of who's going to have the most power. But we got major enemies that are trying to take us down. No matter what Donald Trump says, Russia just wants to tear us down. Before Donald Trump was in office ever, that was Putin's mission, and I'm sure it still is to destroy America, because America destroyed what he saw in their regime prior to Reagan tearing it down or being a part of tearing it down. And now Donald Trump is a sycophant of his. Our multi-decade enemy he's trying to befriend. And there's no legitimate reason to do so that any human being can see. There's no reason. Why is this man doing this? We have no clue. That's why there's a problem with it. He's out in the open saying he likes the guy. That's transparent. But why? What is going on? And one of the things he said earlier this week, he said, I've known him for a long, long time. Or we've been friends for a long time. Yeah, I used to travel to Russia a lot and try to do business. But you said back then that you never met him. He just did certain things like got you a hotel or whatever, just being nice to you, extended courtesy for you being in his country. But he never had any kind of friendship. But from what you just said, you've been with him a long time. It automatically lets us know that there's something going on with Trump and Putin, that he would trust him over America. And here's the thing. As a president or even someone in the government, they know stuff about Putin more so than we do. I mean, we get the information that it's just not safe. You know what I'm saying? And that he's a tyrant and that he's, a dictator and he's unaliving people. We get that information. But there's so much more in depth than that. And Trump knows it and still ignores it. While you can see a lot of the elder Republican and Democrat senators and congressmen and women that are like, we can't stand him. We know what he was like. 100%. And we know what he's still like. He was a spy that did not like America. So now all of a sudden he likes America because Trump is there. It doesn't make any sense. None whatsoever. Now, in other news, Elon Musk and Donald Trump's kind of like being passive in it, in this thing with Starlink. Now, the FAA had a deal with Verizon, right? And Verizon's already started on this deal, for the air travel and things of that nature, the technology, because the technology they have now is old, and they understand it, but they came into a deal with Verizon. Now, they went through the whole process. Now, if you have never as much as gotten a deal or tried to get a deal with the government, you have to know you got to go through a lot of things. Now, you may have a whole team of lawyers and, grant writers to be able to get it. But if you don't have that, it is a tremendous uphill climb. And all of these companies put it to the test to be able to get the money that's available. And Elon Musk went through the entire process alongside with his company Starlink, alongside Verizon and many others. Now, through that process, Verizon came in with the better deal, or at least the deal in which the government agreed with, and they turned Elon Musk down. Now, isn't it crazy how once Elon Musk became this Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, he's gotten a $400 million deal for his Tesla, or anywhere between 300 to 500 million. And they made, quote unquote, a mistake, he says, by putting Tesla's name on the EV vehicles. And then they later took off that and said just EV vehicles. But it's going to go to Tesla. That's roughly, I guess they averaged out $400 million. This is since Donald Trump has got into office. They're cutting average everyday citizens. They're cutting their jobs short and giving this man a tremendous amount of money. How are you saving money? How you saving money? They came up with this $400 million deal with EV. Now they got this deal right here with Elon Musk. That's I believe it's 2 billion, like 2.4 billion is what I think it is. That's what they came up with. And we're gonna go over to that and show you what they have in place for that. They think of it as, and this is according to AP News. I think this is where the Salon got their article they referenced from AP, Associated Press. They just rounded down to 2 billion, but it's 2.4 billion. Musk appears to be, set to take over this $2 billion deal from Verizon. He goes on his platform, Twitter or X, and disrespects Verizon. And then all of a sudden, he's thinking about taking over the deal. Now, when they first started this Doge thing, and everybody, not everybody, but the people who were raising these red flags saying, hey, this could lead to corruption. And then they said, we're going to be transparent. We're going to be open and transparent. And the $400 million deal came, and their open and transparency was like, oh, that's wrong. It's just EV. Like other companies are going to get it. You know he's going to get it. And then now his Starlink is set to take over Verizon. Verizon already had this deal and had already spent a lot of money in the process to be able to get it started. Verizon won this deal, this $2 billion contract in 2023. They basically had it for almost 2 years. As you can see. And so how is it that Elon Musk is getting, or possibly getting, they're putting in the news right now, playing with this, that he's going to get this $2 billion contract? Mind you, he already went through the process and got turned down. That's the way the government works. You put in bids. If you lose, you lose. You win, you win. He put in a bid for this and he lost, fair and square. Gets into office, and this is not something that's normally done. Once you get the contract, you got it. You don't been through the process. Every company that wanted it has went through it. You won it, fair and square. Then you get Elon Musk coming out and disrespecting the company. No reason to. No actually legitimate reason that they did anything wrong. No facts to be drawn. No receipts to be brung. But somehow go onto his platform, put it in the ecosphere, out in social media streets, and all of a sudden, his sycophants believe it. The news covers it. Nobody likes the news, so the people who hate liberal media, because they're the only ones saying it, Fox and things of that nature, rarely bring these things up. If they do, it's a blip and it's on to crazier stories. It's in the media psyche, and he knows, I put it out on Twitter, it blows up, I get what I want. America needs to wake up. These people are destroying our country and everything that we have in it, that we have developed and devised over hundreds of years. The Constitution is being stepped on. And they're allowing it in some ideology. They think they're being patriotic and helping the country. How? I understand to have cutbacks, but to destroy the Constitution, destroy the way the country works. I mean, you went through it fair and square, Elon. You lost fair and square. And then you're going to turn around and do this type of corruption where you come in and get your Donald Trump, your Orange King, to shift it to these billionaires. I would say to these friends of mine who are, on the fence sometimes, they're not necessarily friends, but these people who are on the fence, I'm like, what are you waiting on? These people are trying to destroy America. And where do you see them trying to help America? Everything that we have, our integrity, not only with the American citizens, but our integrity throughout the world. These people don't trust us. You can tell. You saw the governor of France, the head of France, touched Donald Trump on the leg like a senior citizen who forgot his name or some shit. Excuse me. No, we're paying money. It's cash. We just have money of theirs stashed because Russia, we hold in their cash. Just like you hold other countries' cash. It's not our money. And this senile fart went back to saying the same shit. Well, they're getting paid and we getting paid now. It's insane how this man disrespects our allies. These people have put people's lives on the line for our fights, even when our fights are wrong to be had to begin with. There's going to be a reckoning, I believe, mark my words. Some of these countries en masse are going to get tired of America's shit. At some point, if we keep flip-flopping like this, they're going to get tired of our shit. They already laughed at us when he was president before. They laughed at us while he was there. He said, I didn't think I'd get that response. And they were laughing at him. But what we didn't understand is that they're not just laughing at him. They're laughing at America that decided to put a dipshit as their leader. You think they aren't laughing now that we put the dumbass back? It's insane. You can't get respect when you can't even respect your own country. Why would another country look at us as something to look up to when we can't figure out that a dipshit should never be in the office? Every country has people who at least can spell their own name, at least can remember words or have coherent sentences. We think a person who can barely speak a sentence, who literally says numbers backwards in the billions of millions of dollars. The billions of millions? What the fuck are you talking about? We're going to save millions and millions. I mean, billions and millions and billions of dollars. Whew. It's a damn shame. But it is what it is. But we had this situation with Donald Trump before. Now I want you guys to continue to look out and pay attention to RFK Jr. And holding his feet to the fire, because I don't trust him. And I truly believe, like I said yesterday, this man discounted the one death in which he said there was 2 deaths. There was only one, which tells me you aren't doing your homework. There was a child who died. And then he talked about when there was 16 the prior year, those didn't die. And all of those were unvaccinated. So wait a minute, we had 16 and the vaccinated children never got it. It was the unvaccinated children, all of them that were there, 16, all of them unvaccinated, got it. So that would kind of tell you that maybe the vaccine works. Maybe your argument about vaccines is not really worth having an argument when the science matches what the scientists are fucking saying. It is amazing to me how people don't do their homework and get into office to run departments that they know nothing about. He knows no more about science than I know about being a white woman. And you won't find me leading white organizations for women, and how the hell he's leading an organization for science, and he is science inept. Says some of the dumbest things about science that no doctor, no scientist agrees with, yet he's leading. This tells you you have an idiot for a president, and therefore everybody who works for him has idiocy within them. in fear of power. When they're supposed to be fighting for us, they're cowering to him. That's insane. Very much insane. Now, I want you guys to know about something else. I had talked about it before, and this is another transition about Project 2025. Now, before the presidency, and this was months and months and months ago, that I did a story on this guy named Russ Vought, Vought. I don't know if it's Vote or Vout. It is what it is. But this sycophant got caught thinking he was speaking to two rich men, explaining to them ahead of time what Donald Trump's plan was since day one, before he left the office. When he was about to leave, him and Russ Vought came together, and Donald Trump commissioned him to create something, because he worked for Donald Trump at the time, for his next presidency. That's when Project 2025 was born. Donald Trump played it off like he didn't know nothing about it. Now, mind you, this video came out way before Donald Trump became president. It was in a documentary, because these people went undercover. One person, I think, was an actor. Another person was, I don't know, a producer or something like that. But they played two rich white men, which they really didn't go into the idea behind it all. The idea that Russ Vought was traveling and talking to rich white people, letting them know what they plan to do to America, to get their money and to get them involved. So when you really think about it, we got a chance to see it through the eyes of these people who were undercover. But when you watch this video, I want you to understand that Russ Vought was selling this to Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. He did this to all of them, and they agreed. Now, do I have any actual receipts for that? No. What I have is common sense. He thought he was talking to rich people, these two men, and was getting them in on the insights of it all to get funding. You think they didn't go to the other richest people in the world to do that? You think Elon Musk wasn't given this conversation? How do you think he is where he is right now? How do you think he's in on the plan of Project 2025? How do you think that this Doge is a part of Project 2025? It didn't come up out of nowhere. This shit was planned. So you have to understand, if you go back a little bit, that these things were devised by these rich people. Then you start to understand more when you see all these rich people sitting in the area where, like, the governors or whatever should have been doing the inauguration. Instead, it was the rich, which has never been done. All these mega rich people were just looking out at what they paid for. Project 2025 had to be funded, and they're the ones funding it. Why else would they be there? They weren't there during any other election. So you got to wonder, what has Donald Trump promised these people? What has he promised them? That they have this all access. That they're changing the scope of everything. Mark Zuckerberg coming out talking about, oh, you know, we're no longer going to fact check people. Elon Musk, in the process, when Donald Trump was no longer president, around 2022 or something like that, buys Twitter and then turns it full right wing and uses it to get Donald Trump elected. They've been in on this for years. This is not something that happened willy-nilly. You got to start putting the pieces together, and you start to see, what the things that make sense of what they're doing. And even though they've had years to put this together, they're still messing up because they don't know how the government works. They guess it works like a business, and it doesn't. I'm guaranteeing, this is my perspective again, not only will Elon Musk start seeing more accolades, more contracts from the government, our money, so will Amazon. I mean, Jeff Bezos and his businesses. So will Mark Zuckerberg. So will this company from China, or the owner of TikTok. These people will start to see more opportunities and start to buy up a lot of things. Now, I think other ones are going to be smarter than Elon. Elon likes to be the center of attention. These other ones are very strategic. I would say if anybody was doing investigations, I would say for them to start looking into companies that have the names of companies that these other billionaires own, but not their names attached to it. So they can kind of separate themselves, but still buy up things that we always owned. You know that they're buying homes, corporations are, making it harder for the everyday citizen who wants the American dream, who's worked their butt off to get down payments. It's hard for you to get a home right now. There are instances that are out there where people have bid for homes that have been wanting a home forever, and they bid for it as the asking price, and corporations have come in and had a bidding war, and then just say, what the hell, and offer way over, couple $100,000 or more over the price of the actual home, and that person loses it to a corporation. There's a reason they're doing this. Farmers are losing their stuff. Now, there's been a push for farmers to close down farms, to actually make them more of corporate farms. The corporate farms have been edging out small farmers for years. And with these tariffs, they know, remember now, when Donald Trump was president before, yeah, Bill Gates as well too, save wit. When Donald Trump was president before he raised these tariffs, and the farms almost went under, and Donald Trump had to give billions of dollars, right, to be able to save them. That's why some of them thought, oh, he helped us, we love him, just like the people who got the PPP or who got like stimulus checks, like, I'm going to get a stimmy. They were stupid. Not unless we have another pandemic. Is that what you're asking for? To get another pandemic so you can get a stimmy? It was just the oddest psychology that I could think of. The oddest mathematics. I was like, so you ready for another pandemic so you can get a stimulus check? Why would you get a stimulus check? The only time you got it before was because people were dying of a pandemic. And even then, he didn't even want to give it to you. It was the House that wanted to give it to you. But these people had no idea how the government works. All he had to do to fool people was put his name on a check. And you try to tell them, look, Donald Trump put a name on the check, forced your checks to come later than they should have came. He held it up for like a week because he wanted to sign them all. You could have got them a week earlier. At the time, people were pissed, but people soon forget once they get money in their hands. And it's crazy how even people you think with a brain forget that these horrible things happen. All they remember is, I got the money. Do you realize what happened for you to get it? Lives had to be lost. You still want it that way again? Just illogical people. But you look at Donald Trump and all these sycophants, they're taking us down a horrible path. And we're not going to be able to come out of it. Like anything with the government, I said, anything with the government, if it is broken, it is almost impossible to bring it back. Because you got a lot to go through to bring it back. You got a lot of funding to get to bring it back. And if you allocate those funds other places, you got to cancel that place then bring the funds back here. That's going to be forever. And if you do the homework and you go look to see where the government can cut money, you will realize almost every citizen in this country is going to be affected by it. Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, there is going to be tens of millions of people whose lives are going to change for the worst. Now, there was, forgive me, I don't know the person's name, who came out today and said something to the effect that people on these, SNAP and these entitlement programs need to get off the couch and stop eating Cheetos. And if you're an able-bodied person, get out and work. Ladies and gentlemen, do you guys understand who, and I don't think, how do you send somebody to be a representative or senator, mayor, governor, and I don't know what this guy's actual position was, but a political servant? How do you get to this position and not know the constituency in which you represent? How is this man talking about getting out the couch? Does he realize if somebody's on the couch, it's because they're disabled more than likely, not because they're lazy? He has this old world, like 1950s idea of people on SNAP or unemployment or whatever program. He's got a 1950s, even then they were wrong, idea that somehow these people are lazy. I would love to have this conversation with him, with some of his constituents, these Republicans, and say, how many of you guys are on welfare of some sort or an entitlement program? Raise your hand, because I guarantee you, in that town hall meeting, majority of them would put their hands up. In these Republican poor-ass states, these red states, I'm in California. Our state acts like a freaking bank to a lot of these red states. If California just out of nowhere, the government say, you know what, we ain't sending no more money to the government. No, the hell with that. We're going to keep it all in the state. We ain't giving them jack. Have them sue us. We'll keep that shit in the court for 65 years before we owe anything. If California wanted to do that, there would be so many states in the United States that would just fall the fuck apart. Bridges be torn down, streets be all messed up. It always killed me how you'd hear all these red states act so entitled, like, oh, you guys are this and liberal that. I'm like, you're poor. You're poor and talking shit to people who got money. And these people are giving you money and you're acting like you're better when your country, your state is broke. Tens of millions of dollars are going into your state from our taxes in California. And if that was taken away and a hurricane came, you're ass out. Why don't you respect where the money's coming from? Because I guarantee you, if your state was giving more money and California was receiving it, California would be respectful of where the money's coming from. It's a more liberal state. They care. Not all of them, but it's a more liberal state. You got these conservative states acting like they making all this money themselves. I'm like, your farm depends on our money. If Donald Trump didn't give our money to you so that you can keep going, we would be buying eggs, pork, and beef from another country, and you be sitting on a bunch of land looking at a bunch of dead grass. Don't get it twisted. You need us. And for other things, we need you. But you never hear us talking shit about you and your economics until you start talking shit about these states like New York and California and places like that that actually care for people, all these whatever cities, because you always have something to say. And if California and uh, New York, and all these different places that make way more money than everybody else, if they just one day say, you know what, I'm tired of these poor people. Let them take care of themselves. We're just going to take care of us. Y'all be ass out no matter what you say. If these states treated y'all the way you treat them. But beside all of that, I want you guys to understand that these billionaires are fucking with all of us. These poor red states, the rich are, East Coast and West Coast states and northern states, all that. They're messing with all of us. They have more wealth than the majority of us. Which means if they wanted to, they could buy up the property and have you living under a bridge. And I wouldn't doubt them trying to do that. So why would a corp? This is one thing I think we need to, and I don't know if there is any rules. Anybody's a real estate agent, I would love to talk to you. But I remember when I bought my house, and it was when I bought it, it was it's a single family home, and I knew that I couldn't. I mean that you had to be a person looking for a single family home. You couldn't purchase it otherwise. And in the situation that we're, being like a single family home couldn't be a corporation home. It had to be a single family home. You had to buy it for family. That's the way it was set up in California. I don't know anywhere else. I'm trying to figure out why or even how corporations can buy up single family homes. And if we can, we should pass a bill that they can't do it. Because it makes no sense that corporations are buying up single family homes when their thing is all about making profit, and it becomes more of a corporation type thing as opposed to, building wealth for citizens. Because you have to understand, buying a home and getting equity in that home is how the average citizen builds wealth in this country. And if you're being edged out of wealth, keep in mind, it's going to put more people in poverty. Middle class people will become poorer people because you'll be forced to get apartments that don't accrue equity, or townhomes that in certain situations that may not have equity. So I would ask that people pay attention to that. And hopefully, talk to your senators or congressmen and women, like, what are they working on to thwart that? Because I worry about that, my kids ever being able to own a house in this situation of the way the government works. People who are my age are still trying to buy their first home because they've been working so long and saving money. And now corporations are buying out these homes and they can't even get them. And that's something I think as citizens we need to be fighting for as well. Because when Donald Trump and his people in the sycophants, they're always putting out 50,000 things, and you're just going, and the news is going with this one, this one, this one. Everybody's picking one. They're in the background doing something dirty. You can just feel it. Because they never respond to all of these things. They do all this stuff, and then you're bitching and moaning. They're not responding to it. They're just letting it go out in the media. They're not saying anything. The news media may ask a question about it. They play it off. But there's so many things going on that we haven't, whenever these reporters are asking them, they haven't reached a sore point yet. So you got to know that there's something maniacal, like they're doing something behind the scenes that we have no idea about because there's too many things going on and everybody seems to be chasing the same things, the hot topic of that day, and not going behind the scenes and seeing some of these other things that they're doing. And trust me, it's already been structured because you're going to see this video. Give a single family a loan for a livable home that needs work, but they'll sell it to a business. See, that doesn't make sense to me. Oh, Citizens United went to the Supreme Court and had corporations declared as individual people. That's horrible. But we gotta fight that. We gotta fight that, and it's probably something we need to tell the Democrats to fight about. And, hopefully in 2026, these midterms, we can get the Democrats in leadership and make that a major point that we want them to change, because it is unfair for American citizens who are busting their butt in this country to not be able to reach their American dream of buying their own home, because you're allowing corporations to be people as far as real estate goes. Real estate should stay in corporate real estate. They should not be in real estate for single family homes and residential. Why do you need a residential business as a corporation? You're making a crap ton of money in other places. But my assumption is they get so much money back, they don't know what to do with it. So they're just buying properties as their equity. Nobody even has to live in it. They got so much money, they can buy up these homes and not do anything. Just hold on to them as the equity improves. Make these payments, $1,000, $2,000 a month. That's it. If you can afford to rent it out, cool. But it's getting to the point, if they're buying it at these high rates, they're not going to sell them. And if they don't sell them to you, they're going to rent them at astronomical prices. That's not going to work. Exactly. Save wit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and watch this video, and it's a little long one. We're going to go through it, but I wanted you to see it. If you haven't seen it, it's going to be something I think that everybody should have seen before. Bear with me. If it doesn't show up, I'm going to do my thing, but let's go. Make sure. Yeah. And we're going to...
Two undercover reporters posing as donors are about to meet one of the key architects of Project 2025, the radical plan for Trump's second term, in a hotel suite rigged with hidden cameras.
Nice to meet you. Would you like coffee or something?
I'd love coffee,
yeah.
Meet Russ Vogt.
Russell Vogt, the former director of the Office of Management and Budget.
He's been called the most dangerous MAGA diehard you've never heard of.
I am opposed to the Department of Education because I think it's the Department of Critical Race Theory.
The Russ Vogt were comrades in arms.
Formerly a cabinet member and chief lieutenant in the first Trump admin,
I want to thank Russ for doing an incredible job.
he now runs a group called Center for Renewing America.
An organization that I helped turn into the Death Star that is accomplishing all the debates that you are reading about. I think you have to rehabilitate Christian nationalism. You have the largest deportation in history, block funding for Planned Parenthood. I want to be the person that crushes the deep state.
Vogt is one of the key authors of the blueprint for a second Trump administration.
Project 2025.
It's an ambitious 920-page blueprint.
Like eliminating the Department of Education.
The mass firings of civil servants.
Banning access to the abortion pill and further restricting abortion rights.
In recent weeks, the plans have become so controversial that Trump has been forced to distance himself.
They're sort of the opposite of the radical left, okay? You have the radical left and you have the radical right. And they come up with this, I don't know what the hell it is. It's Project 25.
Are you ready? I know nothing about Project 25. I haven't seen the document. I don't intend to really see the document.
But behind closed doors, Vogt tells us not to take Trump's disavowal seriously.
I expect you to hear 10 more times from the rally, the president, distancing himself from the left's boogeyman at Project 2025.
Yeah. And you're not worried about that?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
He's running against a brand. He is not running against any people.
Okay.
He is not running against any institutions. It's interesting. He's in fact not even opposing himself to a particular policy. Yeah. He's been at our organization. He's raised money for our organization. He's blessed it from the, I remember walking into our last day in office and told him what I was going to do. So he's very supportive of what we do.
Our investigation into Project 2025 began 2 weeks before the meeting with Vogt at a conference for religious nationalists in D.C.
The truth is, Christian nationalism is not a threat to American democracy. Christian nationalism founded American democracy.
Journalists from the Center for Climate Reporting have come posing as potential donors, looking to meet those involved in Project 2025. They're not hard to find. The Heritage Foundation, the group running the project, are here. So is Vogt's think tank. We make the acquaintance of Nika Meadowcroft, an author on Project 2025 and a close aide to Vote. He tells us that Vote is running the secretive second phase of Project 2025.
The second phase of the book camp was to break down like actual sort of policy packets and executive orders and
Audio's crazy.
agenda items, things like that. That's been supervised largely.
The first phase of Project 2025 was a 922-page policy book published openly. The second phase is a comprehensive, concrete transition plan for each federal agency. These much more detailed plans are confidential.
Yeah, because obviously you wanted a little bit to be FOIA-able. If you're familiar with the FOIA process, as possible. Freedom of Information Act, yeah.
The Freedom of Information Act allows the public to request government communications, but Meadowcroft reveals they plan to avoid these rules.
Yeah, the goal is,
you can turn audio down, just read the subtitles.
Plans, but you don't actually send them to their work emails. Right. You could just give handbooks to everyone. Be like, this is the game plan for the admin. Yeah. If the press knows that that's what I'm doing, that they're going to immediately just say, I request all of your emails from Harry. Okay. You right.
This is bad. Let me see what's going on here.
Meadowcroft offers to set up a meeting with his boss, Russ Vogt.
You could put me in touch with somebody who looks after his diary or whatever.
Yes, I can put you in touch with his schedule. Yeah.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Great.
So just tell me when to do that.
We want to meet the man writing the game plan for Trump's second administration. Vogt believes that in his first term, Trump's agenda was frustrated by what he calls the deep state. So Vogt is planning a radical centralization of government power under the president, firing civil servants and ending the independence of agencies like the FBI and DOJ.
80% of my time is working on the plans of what's necessary to take control of these bureaucracies. And we are working doggedly on that, whether it's destroying their agency's notion of independence. They're independent from the president.
Vogt has also been preparing documents based on fringe legal theories, arguing the president has the power to use the military against protesters.
George Floyd obviously was not about race. It was about destabilizing the Trump administration. Right. We put out, for instance, a 50-page paper designed for lawyers to know that the president has, the ability both along the border and elsewhere to maintain law and order with the military. And that's something that, it's going to be important for him to remember and his lawyers to affirm, but we've given them the case for that.
With loyalists installed in key government agencies and armed with his playbook, Vogt believes a radical Christian nationalist agenda can be realized under a second Trump presidency. For example, on abortion.
So I think the president's actually come up with a strategy that works so long as you are giving people like me in the government the ability to block funding for Planned Parenthood, block funding for fetal tissue research. What I've told people is he had the most pro-life record ever. I've never seen him to stand in the way of a pro-life initiative that actually was real, politically and with momentum.
And for Vogt, Trump's pick for vice president shows he's serious about pushing this ideological agenda when in power.
So I am very happy with the JD pick. I think it's transformative for sure. Yeah. And think of him as a member version of what we do. Yeah. So there's no think tank, no policy organization, no battle plan creator other than us for the worldview that I think Donald Trump has and that JD has.
But as public backlash against these plans builds, the Trump campaign has been scrambling to distance themselves from Project 2025's authors.
It's complete and utter bullshit for any reporter to write that this is the way it is. The president's made it clear these people do not speak for him. They do not speak for the campaign.
But Vogt tells us that behind the scenes, things are much friendlier. The Trump campaign recently picked him to write the Republicans' policy platform, making him essentially Project 2025's man on the inside.
I think the best example is the campaign selected me to be the platform because of their views on my policy ideas, and they're not running from all of the negativity that I get from the press.
I see. So they haven't been spooked on you as a person, you don't think?
No, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be their transition pick, because then they have all these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
But no, the relationship is great.
The head of the Trump transition team has not yet been appointed, but Vogt says that no matter who is named, he'll be able to hand over his Project 2025 battle plans directly.
If it's someone like Stephen Miller or Bob Lighthizer, then all the stuff gets plugged right in. If it's not, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
But all of it will be designed for a theory of the case that if a battle plan is out there that will do what he wants, there are people like me that have his trust that will be able to get it to him. In whatever position we're at, or I could be at Center for New America, but the relationships will be there, the trust level will be there.
Project 2025's Radical Phase 1 policy book turned into a PR disaster.
The director of Project 2025 has stepped down after facing criticism from both Democrats and the Trump campaign.
But Vogt's Phase 2 battle plans, top secret and handed directly to the transition team, remain unburdened by the brand.
And are you going to rebrand that second phase at all?
For what I do,
yeah,
the brand's not important.
And you're not worried that if it has Project 2025 on, he's going to go
no.
And you're not going to publish those?
No.
They go straight to.
Yeah, they're very, very close hold.
Okay.
Brilliant. It's been an education.
Appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Anytime.
See, I told y'all, these people are evil. Evil. It is not, hands down, evil people. Now, before we get into my, synopsis of all this, my summary, what my opinion about it all, we first have to start. Let me see if I can get this thing set up with what the deep state is, right? The deep state, and the thing that gets me is that this man said he wanted to be the person who gets rid of the deep state. And you're like, that's what you're saying you're going to do. Get rid of the deep state. But my question to you is, how? How are you getting rid of the deep state? Like, where is what is the definition of the deep state in your situation? Because oftentimes they want you to believe that the deep state is a real thing in the government that we have right now. It is a conspiracy theory. But a deep state is organizations such as military, police, or political groups that are said to work secretly in order to protect particular interests and to rule a country without being elected. To rule a country without being elected. That's what a deep state is. Now ask yourself a question. What you just heard from Russ Vought, isn't that the deep state? They're doing everything behind the scenes to rule this country secretively. If you didn't hear at the very end, he asked the supposed rich guy that was undercover, asked him, so you don't have a problem when, people don't like this program and all stuff like that and the branding of it and so forth, and that Donald Trump doesn't like it or whatever. And he tried to quell them like, no, that he's just fighting in public behind the scenes. Don't worry. They're that deceptive that he already knew that Donald Trump was going to make it seem like he had nothing to do with it. And to come up with this 47 that he put on his website and told everybody to go to that. That was a part of the strategy. Once you guys didn't like this that we put out there, we said it's not, then you disavow us and you have a backup plan and say, this is your plan. But if you looked at that 47, it was nothing but bullet points from Project 2025. And we kept yelling at people, look at Project 2025. This man literally said he wanted to get rid of the deep state and put in a deep state. The thing is that he doesn't have any receipts, any names to say that they are the deep state. He wants to get rid of FBI, CIA, calling them the deep state. And I'm like, okay, if they're the deep state, who are they within the deep state? And why is it that it's a big deal that they're the deep state? Because they don't like Donald Trump. I would think the deep state would care about the country and ruling it, no matter who was president. They wouldn't just hate Trump. They would hate all presidents. They would want them all to bend to their knee, bend their knee to them. So it wouldn't matter what president was in place. These rich people just want power regardless of who's there. But they got people to believe that there's a deep state for Democrats. And all it really was holding Republicans accountable for their actions. They called that a deep state. And then put in this Russ Vogt guy who organized a deep state. He has a booklet, 900 something pages to give to America to let you see what they're thinking about doing. And then he's got a secretive book on how to do it in other things that we don't know about. That is a pure definition of a deep state. They lied about a deep state being there so that they could actually implement their own deep state. Their definition of a deep state is doing the country not allowing them to do the stuff they want to do. There's something wrong with the government if we can't break the laws. If we can't rig things so that we get it and that we win it because we deserve it, then there's a deep state that's stopping us from being as maniacal and evil as we want to be. That's called the protection of the American people. That's called a democracy. They don't like democracy. They want something more like a monarchy. The rich people get to decide whatever the hell is going on, and the leader does whatever the rich people want. They bring gold to their king, and their king blessed them with ever a new business, a new house, a new whatever it may be. If Americans, regular Americans, don't get up in arms and fight this shit back, you're going to lose your rights. 100%. There is no good coming out of anything when a person wants to be a king. There's no good. Because you got to think about where you are on the chain right now. If you're middle class, you're next to last. So when this thing gets to the point where they're allowing rich to do whatever they want, you're going to be poor. And those who are already poor are going to be more likely enslaved. So are you happy with the country it is right now and you want it to be better? Or are you trying to regress to go back to an era where you were indentured servants? Because the richer they get, the poorer you're going to get. Like I said, keep paying attention to the strategy that they're doing. The rich people are buying up houses as corporations, and they're spending way more money than these houses are worth, which means they're not going to make that money back, and they don't care. Which more than likely means they're buying it to keep it, not to sell it. Which means you won't be able to live in it. If they're doing things like this, they understand they have more wealth than most people in this country combined. All of our money to combine as citizens, these few people have more than all of us combined in their bank accounts and can buy up anything that we want. I know it sounds like a conspiracy, but these are the things they're doing in front of our face. It ain't like I'm sitting here coming up with stuff that isn't happening. Corporations are buying houses. I'm just connecting the dots. Like, why are you buying all these homes? You got you know, you got to think about it. In my state, California, you can go downtown, some of these large, like skyscraper type buildings. Go walk through those skyscraper type buildings. You'll see a bunch of empty rooms. They're not 100% filled. They're somewhere around 60, 70, some of them filled as far as that, and it's 40% vacant. Then you'll see some of them that is 100% vacant. Nothing but a board on the side of the building. This thing's like 30 feet, 30 stories high. Ain't nobody in them. What is that saying? They're just buying properties just to let them sit there? Are there not enough business creations to fulfill the properties that we already have, to fill them up? To me, that sounds like the rich aren't investing in the average folk to open up spaces to create, spots for them to fill these corporate buildings. Something's not right with that. And I'm going to do more research on that, but it just doesn't make sense. So we'll be forever renters, meaning we won't be able to get equity. The American dream, building wealth, is becoming harder to achieve. I noticed that with my children. I mean, they're paying for apartments that when I had them as kids, I could have bought a huge house in California. A huge house, putting down 3% of the down payment. They had programs back then. This is 1999. They had programs where you could put 3% down. Pretty sure they still do to some degree, maybe, but 3% down and buy huge homes here in LA. Not so much in the inner city area that was millions, but if you went out to a Santa Clarita or Chino Hills or something of this nature in the northern part, Acton or whatever the heck it is, Palmdale, you went out there, you could buy a house that's huge, like it was in the Midwest, and you're in California for $300,000. My kids will never see a $300,000 nothing. These homes that are just average, created in the 1950s, are going for like $700,000 in these cities of nowhere that used to be very cheap. And these corporations are buying them up. And it doesn't seem like they're buying them up for profit. And that's weird. What are they buying them for? Yeah, we do need to do that. Buy body camera now. What do you mean by buy body camera? Explain that one for me. But anyway, so Roosevelt was talking to them about George Floyd. He said George Floyd was not about race. It was about destabilizing Trump's administration. How self-centered do you have to be to make a man being unalived by a racist cop be about Donald Trump and not about racism? I don't know about you, but it was about racism. What is he talking about? I mean, you got to be batshit crazy to think that we cared about Donald Trump. Donald Trump was an afterthought. The way Donald Trump responded to it, people were pissed. But the actual incident was about a black man being knelt on his neck forever till he died, and a white cop who had over 19 events in which he had been written up, and nobody cared about it. He had done the same thing similar to this to a 14-year-old kid before. But you had to dive deep to find that out. It wasn't handed to you. But you know what was handed? To everybody, and even sellouts like Candace Owens, these Hodge twins and shit, even them, this man's body wasn't cold yet before these fools were looking up. Did he have a police record? Did he have this? Did he have that? I'm like, excuse me, you didn't catch him doing a crime. You caught the cop doing one. So why are you looking into his past? I'm like, what did the cop do in his life? They never spoke about what the cop did in his life. They just searched the black guy, what he do. But whatever he did, he paid for it and it's over, whatever he did. This incident has nothing to do with those incidents. And even when people who are black have never done any crime or anything in their life, they're still looking for something. Oh, he ate glue when he was in 4th grade. What the fuck has that got to do with anything? Nothing. Constantly looking to excuse the person doing bad. How about you hold the person who did something bad accountable and move on? This country is filled with people who just can't take responsibility for their actions. If you lie, you deserve whatever that comes to you on the other end of that. If you break the law, you deserve what happens to you. If it's legal, whatever happens to you. Go to jail, months in jail, 6 months in jail, 6 years in jail, life, whatever. Responsibility for your actions, people. This officer broke the law and he's paying for it. And you still got people out here thinking he should be out. Not because he didn't break the law. It's because he was an officer and because he was white. Those are the only two reasons they think he should be out in the streets still today. There's no other reason. Trying to say that he died of a drug overdose. So that would have meant he would have died if you wouldn't have put your foot on his neck. Didn't seem like he was in the act of dying when he was sitting in his vehicle, just chilling. Didn't seem like he was in the act of dying when he was sitting up on the wall and y'all had him handcuffed. Didn't seem like he was in the act of dying when you had him in that back car. He's 6'4" or some shit, and you put him in a car for somebody who's a freaking little person. He wasn't dying then. He looked like he was dying when you was putting your foot on his neck. I digress. So, the idea that this man said he wasn't going to publish the behind the scenes, like part 2 of Project 2025. Project 2025 was 900-something pages. The other one has to be more because that one came out in a video, and I don't have that one, but you can probably find it, where they talked about their hiring processes and all these different things. The lady who is the White House press secretary, she was in these cult videos that they made talking about Project 2025. Everybody in Project 2025 that Donald Trump said he had no part in, and those people like me who were screaming at the top of our lungs, these content creators and my mutuals who were saying, here it is, here's the video. I showed that video in its entirety. There's a documentary about this type of stuff. I shared that. I shared the name of them back in the day before he became president, while he was running for president. People had months to make the right decision. They chose to ignore it and listen to this liar. And now they're crying about things have changed so much that their lives will never be the same. Well, sir, ma'am, we told you that. That's up to you. That is up to you. You need to stop acting like people didn't tell you anything. They told you everything. You just don't listen well. And that's your fault. All your fault. Now, on to other news, and this is the last story, the kind of kicker for the end of the show. I told you this whole week I've been telling you about how the Republicans in these states, inside of these town halls that they've been going to, have been getting lit up. Their constituents have been mad. Now, again, there's been some people in the audience at some of these conventions, these town hall meetings, that listen to these congressmen and women, mostly men that I've seen, and senators speak. And I saw this one where this lady was dragged out. I told y'all about that this week. I didn't bring the video. I got it tonight. I wanted to see it in its entirety. It's not very long, but it's longer than the ones I've been seeing on social media. Kind of gives you an understanding like what happened before. And this one has a lot of these audience members not acting a fool like they did before. Remember before, like there was that Trump rally type of stuff, they would jump up and go run and help these people that are hurting these people. But you remember at these functions, as far as I saw, the people they were knocking out and dragging and stuff like that were black people, black women, black men. So to see a white woman going through this, for me personally, is new. So we're going to go over a little bit to kind of explain and kind of deal with the fact of what they've been doing in this process. And it's insane. You know what I'm saying? The things that they're doing are insane. There's no reason for it. But you'll see. Let me see if I can get the video. There we go. There it is. All right, so let's see if it actually shows up for you. Let's get it. Where's the video? Oh, there it is. Doesn't show?
Two undercover reporters
That ain't it. It's supposed to be the lady, and they're not showing it. Oh, there it is. It's supposed to be. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
There's an opportunity for you to sound off, but not right now. And because you're not smart enough to know that, get them out. If you can't be civil.
And these guys are in black. They aren't officers.
Get up or be arrested. So you know, folks, when our nation began, there was some really
You're gonna arrest her?
Just talk for on and on and on. And
Watch the people in the back.
This girl is afraid to leave. She spoke up where these folks are shut this whole program down. Unfortunately, they're being successful. So all of you,
They misrepresented who they were.
I applaud you for sitting there and quiet.
These are dummies! Who the are these men?
So how about that? Come on, Musk. Hey!
They're cheering. See the guy in the back clapping. Go on the ground. The guy over here talks back to the lady in the back chair.
It'll be 100 times.
Yeah, that's what they say to rape victims. Use to identify yourselves. Who are you? Who are you?
Now, Save Wit, you're right. She was afraid to leave. I mean, because she said even, that's what they do to the victims of what. And these men weren't officers. Now, one guy was supposed to be a retired officer who supposedly hired these men in black. But they had those little ties and supposedly tied her up. And they talked about arresting her. They don't have a right to arrest her. They had no right to take her out. She wasn't charged with anything. This dude said he was going to arrest her. She wasn't charged with anything. But I know what she has now that she didn't have before. A lawsuit. And what they did to this woman, I want you to understand, we need to keep playing it over and over again. Not just so that we could, relish in her pain, to show the extent of what these people would do to their own people. See, this is a town hall meeting. She didn't have to pay to come to this. You're a citizen. You came to a town hall meeting. Now, they can kick you out and do different things of that nature and ask you to go if you're being belligerent, but she really wasn't. See, if you pay attention to what this thing was, again, a town hall, is all about the citizens who are there, who have questions about what's going on, to ask their representative what's going on and to suggest things. But see, because of these town hall meetings becoming a situation, people are shouting them down because they're not answering the question, they're evading the question. And I think a little bit of everybody, Republican, Democrat, whatever, are tired of politicians glossing over the question asked and answering a different question that you never asked. They're getting sick of it. And so these politicians are coming to, and this was one of the last ones that I've seen, so this must have been near toward the latter one, the last one they did. It's like they learned not to ask questions, to come and give these people a lecture and never have a Q&A. Well, nobody's coming to get a lecture. People are going to find out what's going on in their particular communities. Are they going to be losing their jobs? Or people who are in their government, are these funds for things that are in their community that they're getting paid? Are the government funds going to dry up, meaning that the corporation is going to end up cutting these people's pay because they no longer get money from the government in the contracts in which they have? There are a lot of businesses throughout the United States that have contracts with the government ranging from just thousands of dollars to millions of dollars. And if you're going around cutting it, there are many states that are going to lay off their employees because they're no longer getting that $1 million or that $500,000, or even, something even smaller. If it's a smaller business, $50,000. If they're not going to receive it, then they're going to have to let go of some part-time workers, which means a lot of people in some small towns are not going to have jobs. They need these questions answered. And these guys are now talking about town halls and all that, because they don't want you to respond to them. They want to just come in and say, I heard them, and come back and tell everybody that my constituents believe this or that. Well, what she asked for was like, basically, is this a town hall or is it a lecture? And for that woman to literally say that, you have to understand she must have been sitting there forever waiting for them to ask questions of the people in the audience. Instead, they were zombies just listening to the crap and not wanting to know whether their jobs are going to be affected. I guarantee you, those people in the audience clapping and laughing, once Elon Musk and Donald Trump, because right now, these job cuts, these funding cuts that I was telling you that's going to all these states, because they're going to have to cut back on bridges and all kinds of stuff that they're giving money that's going to try and do. I guarantee you, these majority of these people in the audience who are talking all this shit and clapping, their businesses are going to start failing because of what the government's going to do. To cut back, a lot of them, they know they're receiving money from the government. They know they're receiving tax write-offs from the government. When they stop allowing them to have those tax write-offs and they're going to have to pay more taxes, or they're going to flip out. When they stop these subsidies for some of these small farms or mid-sized farms, and they start closing down and corporations start buying them up, yeah, you're going to start seeing them. At this moment, we don't know if that lady was a Democrat. These are heavily Republican cities. They're heavily Republican. So she could have been a Republican just tired of it all. I don't know. I haven't did the research on that fully, so I'm going to look that up. But for the most part, for the other ones, they have been. Mike Johnson said something to the effect of, oh, these people are paid plants. Do you have proof of that, bro? No, you don't. These are stories you made. And even when he was checked in that interview, this being Mike, he was checked by, I think it was either the CNN reporter or something like that. She said, well, we know for sure there were some who were there that were Republican, that were like some of the louder voices. They were Republicans. He said, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, maybe that one. But I'm telling you, they're getting paid. Well, that one is the one where we have a definite. You're throwing out an accusation that they're paid. Do we have one that was paid? You don't have one that's paid. So in this situation, that's one against your fantasy. We have not had one of them come out and say, I am a Republican, or I'm not a Republican, I am a Democrat or a liberal pretending to be somebody who cares. You haven't gotten that. So your assumption has no teeth to it. So Mike Johnson just lied to the people as if it was a definite, but yet he has, and this is one thing I want us to start doing too as reporters and so forth. Ask them to come up with receipts. You say that this happened. Could you name me one person that's like that you saw? Because they're going to always tell you, well, I'll come back. You could talk to my office, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, we ain't talking to your office. We're talking to you right now. If you don't know it, then it hasn't happened. And until you bring some receipts, then what you say can be valid. But other than that, it's invalidated. Can you please give us something? Then turn around. It appears that Mike Johnson has no clue about what he's doing in his office, because he's bringing up numbers that he can't back up. And he says he's going to keep sending us stuff after the interview, but we never hear back from him. So in the camera right now, sir, we're not going to wait for something that you should have had before you got to this damn interview. Do you have it or not? You don't? All right, goodbye. Hold their feet to the fire. Hold it to the fire. Make them look like the fools they are. And then take away their argument. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that we, as the media, are always trying to have these gotcha moments. But this isn't a gotcha moment for a professional. Seeing as how you say you're a professional, why don't you have an answer for it? Because let me tell you real quick. I have an answer for it because I already did the homework. I know the answer. The problem is you don't. And you should know it since you're running the place. And if you don't know it, that shows that you're incompetent. Back to you in the studio. That's what you need to do to these fools. Make them look like fools and cancel them out. Soon as they start talking back, well, do you think, click, done. We're not going to listen to the nonsense. You don't have a receipt? Shut up. You don't have a receipt? Shut up. We don't need to hear it. None of my audience needs to hear what you don't have a receipt for. You're not on here to tell us your feelings. You're here to tell us your facts. And if you have no facts, then you have nothing to say. Back it up or shut it up. That's all I got to say about the whole thing. Back it up or shut it up. No facts, then you don't get on the air until you have them. And if it's a gotcha moment thing they want to have, then reporters and so forth, tell them to start the topics that you're gonna carry, that you're gonna talk to them about. I'm gonna talk to you about this. And you need to be learned on all of it, because trust me, I did my research. Then when they come on, I can literally say, I gave you the questions to the test before you got here. You had more than enough time to learn it. And if you don't know it, then you're the incompetent one. Why should we be paying you if you don't want to work for the people? It's just that simple. It really is just that simple. But these people forever trying to make us look stupid. Think that we're supposed to believe everything they say. No, sir, no, ma'am. I don't believe nothing you say until you bring some facts into the situation. If you want to like or subscribe and become a member today, please do so. It's at MrStraightFacts. I appreciate you guys always being here. Thank you, Michael McCullough. I appreciate you, brother. None of these people were expecting the ninja treatment, right? As well, if you don't want to subscribe, you can also reach me in other areas. We're trying to grow this whole process. Being able to have other people starting to think about inviting some of these people here. I know many of them aren't going to want to be have their feet held to the fire with a person like me. I know I'm MrStraightFacts, so I'm not going to have this, cordial BS. I do not want people lying. If you're a good person and you're doing your best to give me your answer, I'm good. If you don't have the answer and you want to go off to a tangent where we're doing this and that, I don't want to hear that, because that ain't meaning nothing to us. It means nothing. What we need to hear is what you're doing. And if you are doing it, tell us what does that lead to? What does that lead to? If there's court cases right now that you guys are fighting and the Democrats are winning, stop saying you're winning. Tell us what you just won. Are we winning cases? Okay, what case did you win and how does it affect us? I got time. Tell me. You got hundreds of cases. Okay, cover 3 of them in every interview. What 3 are the most important? You don't have that? Then shut up talking about winning court cases. The hell does that mean? If the court case ain't nothing but a stay on something and it doesn't change the fact of anything actually moving, a court case means nothing. Winning means nothing. What does it mean? I don't want to hear you won cases. I want to hear the case that you won and how it affects my bottom line. Whether the democracy bottom line or whether my economic bottom line, let us know what they're doing, because just sitting around telling us generics don't mean shit. It means nothing for us. We're trying our best to figure out what to do and what not to do. And you guys are trying your best to figure out the crap you want to tell us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, tell us exactly what's going on. We're big enough. We're big boys and girls. We can take it. We can 100% take it. But you have to be honest with us so that we can make decisions for us and our families and our loved ones. Because I would love to find out what the Democrats think about corporations buying up homes. And now I'm not saying it's Republicans that are buying up homes. I'm saying corporations. Those are Republican, Democrat, Independent. What do the Democrats think about that? And how is that helping the average citizens who are working their butts off? How does that help them achieve the American dream of having their own home and families and things of that nature? My kids, how is it going to help them in the near future if corporations own all the businesses? Are there regulations that say if they these corporations buy these residential homes that they have to sell it to residents, or can they continue selling it back and forth to corporations? Because it's equity, it's an investment. I don't know, but they need to let us know. That's what I say about the whole topic. Let us know, and if you don't have anything to let us know about, let it go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to Mr. Straight Facts Show. I do my best to find the facts that matter, to tell you what's news, and sometimes I'm gonna do it right, sometimes I'm gonna fail, but it's all about putting it out there, trying your best to provide facts, no matter what anybody feels about them, holding our own feet to the fire, like Michael McCullough held my feet to the fire the other day. Thank you, brother, that I got one thing wrong, and he was like, there it is. And that's what I'm talking about, holding people to the feet to the fire, even if it's mine. Y'all know, if you've been following me for a while, my thing is straight facts, no chaser, fuck your feelings. And I really mean that about myself too. If I get something wrong, I need to be held accountable. That's what we need to do. Nobody's saying that nobody can't make mistakes. We're saying that you fix them and admit you made a mistake and quit acting like you never made one. Fix it and move on. Those are the type of people I can trust. I can't trust people who mess something up, even if it's by mistake, and then don't want to tell the truth and won't admit it. I'm sick of those type of people. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys. What is this, Thursday? Days be flying on me. Thursday. I'll see you on Friday at 5 p.m. That's going to be like only an hour show, because I literally have a TikTok show that's a running show that's called Chocolate Music Lab. And that's all about old school music. You like old school music and you follow me on TikTok at Mr. Straight Facts, I think it's 23. We have a music show. You get 2 requests. And you can play old school music if you like it. Anything like from the OJs to Roberta Flack. We're going to give love to her this Friday. She passed away. May she rest in peace. And yeah, we're going to have fun with it. So until tomorrow, keep it factual. And I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all take care.